Welcome back to another episode of Health with Hashimoto's. I am so excited to interview my guest today. I am introducing you to Ben Bressington. Let me tell you a little bit about him before we get started. He is the founder of Bear Remedy, which is a company focused on helping people manage stress and restore energy naturally. After facing his own health challenges and discovering how high cortisol and burnout were affecting his body, he began exploring functional mushrooms and adaptogens as powerful natural tools for recovery. Today, he is on a mission to help a million people feel calm, focused, and energized without relying on caffeine or quick fixes. Through Bear Remedy, he creates potent mushroom tinctures and adaptogenic gummies designed to support balanced cortisol, steady energy, and better resilience. And that is something that every single woman with Hashimoto's can appreciate. So, welcome to the podcast, Ben. I'm so happy to have you. Can you tell us a little bit about your story? Like, why did you get into this?
Well, one of the things, it was funny with my ex-wife. We spent 6 years going through IVF,
Mm.
and the complications of IVF treatment on her body, the side effects it actually created, was very eye-opening for a man who's kind of ignorant of the health world. To be honest, I had no idea of the health world. I kind of just thought medicine was there to help you. And after spending 6 years and seeing specialists all around the world, like we went and did IVF in Spain and seeing some of the leaders, the leading surgeons and clinicians over there, and just all the stuff. And you get to experience the different levels of medical treatment or lack of medical treatment, or sometimes let's just run your entire bowels and see what's going on, and really dismiss the 40% side effect. You're gonna have a colostomy bag. That like it's just like, well, it's just 20 grand out of pocket, no worries. Like just do it, right? And this approach to me just like really woke me up to like how messed up the medical system is, and how messed up the advice a lot of people get, or how I would say immature it is. Because we're going to look back in a few years and go, okay, we were telling people to do this. It's kind of like putting leeches on your body for blood extraction, right? Like in a little, and like leeches weren't that many years ago. Like I don't think people actually understand the scope of this. This is not talking 100 years ago. This is people were still doing it 20, 30 years ago. So medicine is an interesting beast. And now that I'm in the belly of the beast, doing a whole lot of alternative holistic medicines, what we're seeing is just completely amazing. So my journey was through personal pain. And then obviously I went through the whole journey of a burnout from drinking 6 cans of Monster energy drink a day with about 10 different espresso coffees, not just coffee, but like I was drinking espresso coffees and then wondering why I can't sleep to save my life.
Mhm.
So yeah, I would go to Costco and buy a 24 pack of Monster energy drinks, and I would be lucky if that would last 2 days.
Oh my goodness.
And Costco doesn't sell the baby cans. Costco sells the big cans. Yeah, and then when you talk about the impact of that, I didn't understand how my stomach was just being totally destroyed, and like that impact. And it took many years and to right the ship. And I feel like you just don't know. And sometimes you just don't know where to turn. I get to deal with a lot of people dealing with immunotherapies, chemotherapies, whatever type of therapy you want to name, because what mushrooms do is really broad, and how they're healing themselves and allowing their bodies to go through a healing process is quite fascinating. So I've just kind of now committed my life to facilitating that and empowering people to feel clean health. And it's a way for people to connect with each other. I think that's one of the important elements of this health journey, is actually connecting and reconnecting with people, because I still feel that we're in a world where people are more disconnected than ever before. Um,
Absolutely.
and and I think it's all to do with what we eat, how we feed our brain, how we feed our body, how we nourish our souls. And that's one of the fascinating things when you deal in the medical world, right? Like just the spiritual elements of health. They don't believe it because they can't validate it. But you know what? There is something to it. And the recharging your spirit. And sometimes you don't realize, like, A little thing that catches a lot of people is dealing with gluten, right? Like it took a long time, and it was only until one nurse, after many, many months of failed gluten intolerance treatment, she goes, "How long are you giving up bread or giving up like gluten-based products?" She goes, "You are aware it takes 21 days for gluten to leave your body. So you just doing a 7-day detox is literally doing nothing for you." Nobody told us that after thousands and thousands of dollars of doctor's time, treatment protocols, these detox things for this gluten type stuff. And they're like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, you aren't giving it enough time."
Oh no.
Like, where was that conversation 2 years ago?
Right.
Like,
They're just gonna take your money but not give you the information you actually need to make a difference.
yeah. And it was only when like a nurse pulled us aside and said, "Hey, like, you are aware of this, right?" And we're like, "No." We're like, where's that on any of the literature? Where's that on the videos or the education you give? Where is that? When did the doctor tell us this? Like, and yeah, it was just so as traumatic as that journey I went through to health. I now realize there is better alternatives, and some of those alternatives, funny enough, are the things that the Native Americans or indigenous people have been doing for centuries. And well, what I love about mushrooms, for example, is that medical companies, I only learned this recently, medical companies will actually study mushrooms, and they will take one of the compounds out of a mushroom, like one cellular derivative, right? And then because they can patent that. But what they'll leave maybe the 4 or 5 other molecules in that stabilize that, which if you take the mushroom versus taking the pharmaceutical alternative has all these side effects. The mushroom has none because it stabilizes itself at a molecular level. And I'm like, wow, like holy crap, like this is interesting. Maybe it's just interesting to me, but maybe now I'm a little weird and I'm in the world of hippies and stuff like that.
No, I absolutely understand. And it happens so many times in medicine. Like I talk about one natural herb product. It's a combination of 5 herbs, and a pharmaceutical company tried to mimic it. And when they did their like double blind placebo, they compared it to this natural herb, and they found that the natural herb had zero side effects and is like $50 a month. And the pharmaceutical mimic, it had worse efficacy, more side effects, and they still put it on the market. And I believe they're charging like 50,000 a month. Like that
Yeah.
is such a broken system when people can turn to natural things. And because of that synergy that God gave us in the plants, like you're right, most of them or a lot of them don't have side effects. So
Yeah.
tell us more about this spike and crash stress cycle from people reaching for caffeine. I'm just, I'm so shocked that you were having that many monsters and espressos. I'm glad you got off of those. But tell us, because let me back up a little bit. One of my most played episodes is episode 67 of the Health with Hashimoto's podcast. And that's where I'm talking about coffee and how you can't have coffee. You know, I say can't, you shouldn't have coffee within 30 to 60 minutes of your thyroid medication because of how it impacts the medication. And of course, people have to take that thyroid medication first thing in the morning. And what do they want first thing in the morning? They want energy. So they reach for coffee. And then the
Mhm.
second thing that coffee does is that caffeine itself spikes the cortisol. Cortisol is our stress hormone, and that can wreak havoc on autoimmune problems. So tell us a little bit about the coffee and that spike and crash stress cycle and how that impacts or how the functional mushrooms can impact this.
Well, it's not just the coffee, it's the caffeine in it and the acidity of the coffee, right? So because coffee is a huge spectrum, and some people love Waffle House coffee. They swear by it, where other people are the Starbucks people, right? Or Nespresso. Or when I go to Canada, Tim Hortons coffee is just like crack to me, right? Like, so it's not about it's more about the caffeine. And now we've got all these caffeine stimulants, right? They're even putting caffeine in chewing tobacco, so you can now have chewing tobacco without like with the caffeine, right? So it's faster ingestion right into your cheek, right? So what I explain to most people is there's a difference between natural caffeine and synthetic caffeine. And in all of our mushroom products, there's no caffeine. So where do you get energy that lasts 6 to 8 hours? It's clean and smooth. It's what the body does with it. And what most people don't realize is like, I still have a coffee in the morning and I'll take two of our energy gummies. I'll take one of our performance tinctures. And the difference is how mushrooms work to caffeine. This is why caffeine's called a crash every 2 to 4 hours, right? Because it's telling your body, oh my God, we need energy. You've got energy. And what it's not doing is making energy. It's going, now Esther's got energy. Let's get energized. And like, so you get kind of hyper. And this is where people know that threshold, 2 cups, 3 cups, maybe for some heavy caffeine whores like myself, it's kind of 7 to 8 cups, right? Where you kind of get the jitters because you've had too many cups of coffee. That's now that caffeine overload. And it's like stimulating your body to actually generate energy, but it's faking it. This is why there's that big crash, that die, where what mushrooms do is they'll go, oh my God, Esther needs energy. Let's generate energy. Let's tell the body, hey, let's turn on and start making energy. This is why there's no crash. This is why people call me every single day. I'm like, oh my God, I don't need to nap anymore. I used to have a nap for 20 minutes, an hour, whatever it is, whatever you call a nap. I'm not arguing the world of nap, right? In the land of Nod, not needing it and having more energy throughout the day rather than less is the difference between clean energy, which often is not also synthetic. Because a lot of the problems with a lot of this cortisol crash, which a lot of people don't talk about, is the impact that has on your body. Because if your body's doing a big dump because it's crashing, you're compensating and sometimes causing more trauma, more inflammation, specific when it's something to do with your stomach and everything that goes on there. So understanding that you can, if you still want to have coffee, you can. And I do not recommend mushroom coffee to anybody unless you like the taste of eating sand in a cup of water. So I'm not telling you to switch to mushroom coffee, but you can use this with tea or energy. You can actually turn your coffee or tea into a superfood. And when you do that, you're literally empowering it to support your body better. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. So instead of giving somebody an artificial stimulant, you are asking their body to create their own energy.
Yeah. And,
That's
and I want to
awesome.
point out that not all mushrooms are created the same. One of the things that I was disgusted when I started into the world of mushrooms, right? Totally disgusted because I tell people in a lot of the supplements out there, there is a fart's worth of mushroom in mushroom products. But they go, oh my God, it's got 10,000 milligrams of a fart. Like it really doesn't matter like how much of that I put in, your body ain't processing it. And a lot of people don't realize that there's the word they want to be looking for is spagyric extraction. It's the most purest form of extraction. It's a 6 week at most. It's a very expensive process, but what it does is it makes a product that's 95 to 100% bioavailable. That means your body's not peeing it out. That means as soon as you put a drop on your tongue, within 5 to 15 minutes, your body is processing it and starting to do something with it, helping you relax, helping you deal with anxiety, boosting your immune system, and leveraging all the benefits of strengthening your immune, dealing with inflammation, all those benefits to the whole point of creating energy. So a lot of people, oh my God, it's got a 5 day water extraction. It's dual extracted. Doesn't really matter if it's not bioavailable. I think we need to
Right.
change our word because there's a lot of great marketing words that make stuff sound sexy, but if it's still a pig, it's still a pig. And can I just add one more thing to that? Because most people may be new to the world of mushrooms. They're seeing about $20 million worth of ads on of coffee supplements every week from mushroom coffees and how amazing they are. Because what most of these products don't tell you is one, they're not using the fruiting body. And what I mean by the fruiting body is think of a banana tree, right? You've got banana fruit, which you eat, and it's tasty, right? But what if I told you there's a cheaper banana, but what we do is we take the banana tree itself and we turn it into a powder and we tell you that it tastes like banana, but you've got to now use 2 scoops of it to get that real good banana taste. But it's great, right? Would you still like it, right?
No.
Well, but what most people don't realize is that in many, many mushroom products, they're literally getting the mycelium powder, which is the root base of the mushroom. A mushroom grows from mycelium into a banana, right? But what most people don't realize is for pennies on the dollar, they will grind up the dirt and the mycelium, right? And actually turn that into the product and go, there's 10,000 milligrams in this. It's of sawdust, literally of ground up sawdust is going into your supplements. So this is where, what is the extraction method and what's the bioavailability? It doesn't matter about potency. I can show you less potent products that are more bioavailable. So therefore, it's actually better for your body because your body can do something with it. Otherwise, you're literally peeing out those supplements, as they would say.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So when you're using mushrooms and you're looking for adaptogens, can you tell me what you use the fruiting body of the mushroom? Do you use other adaptogens or is it all mushrooms?
Yeah, so everything we use, well, we use a whole mix of stuff, but everything uses the same extraction process. So it's
Okay.
because I got tired and fed up of this industry being just gimmicky, really. It's just like, but there is so much good stuff with this plant energy. Why aren't we instilling it, right? So that's why you use spagyric extractions. We use things like maca. We use things like regalia, which most people don't know about. So when you're talking about energy and focus, that's amazing when you combine it with cordyceps. Cordyceps are the natural mushroom. And when we combine it with things like lion's mane, you can have, imagine having like a great coffee that gave you all day energy, but without the crash, but with increased focus and mental recall. There's a whole bunch of studies. A lot of this is coming out of Asia because they've been using these mushrooms for centuries. I've got several trips to Asia to improve our mushroom grow. We're actually growing our own mushrooms, so I'm traveling there next year to literally learn from these people about how they increase their yield and the quality of their products, which isn't happening here, which is a whole other conversation in the US. But yeah, so with the products you want to be looking at is look for the type of extraction. If it's not spagyric, you just know it's less, right? The bioavailability is really important, but then the combination of mushrooms, or the combination of products or plant medicines, and you can combine them in multiple ways. But we find when you do it right, for example, you can have one of our gummies to 8 to 12 of our competitors, and our gummies are all sugar-free. So the thing is like you don't even need, they pack them with sugar to make them taste good, but you don't need to do that for your body because you don't want that nasty sugar in your body. And the more I got into this world and dealing with people who are sick, like we're in the process of even creating mushroom-based meals, MREs. But we're actually getting Michelin star chefs to design these meals. And one of the big requests we've had, hey, gluten-free, can you have it with all these intolerances? So we can have a meal that we could trust when we're out, but not have something that just tastes like goop in a bag, right? Because
Right.
that kind of gets boring. And there's so much you can do with a lot of the mushrooms that we're actually growing for our food. So, yeah, if people aren't aware of this stuff for mushroom-based energy, there is a massive opportunity. Once you try a good product, you'll never go back to what you were doing. That is what I can promise people.
Right. And you've mentioned spagyric extraction a couple times. You want to tell us exactly how that is? I read it on the website and it's very fascinating.
Yeah, so it's they call it spagyric alchemy because it's one of the most ancient methods to actually getting the nutrients out of any plant, any herb, anything like that. So one of the things we do is we actually, it's a three-step process. We simplify it. So we do a water-based extraction because certain minerals, salts, beta glucans, fats all come out when you do like a water bath, right? A warm water bath. Then we take that same mushroom and we do an alcohol bath. And some people are like, oh my God, you can't use alcohol. Oh my God. I'm like, calm down. It's all good. You're not going to get drunk off this. It's just because different fats, different beta glucans, different minerals, different salts come out in alcohol. So we've taken what was in the water, what was in now in the alcohol, and then it goes through. And what we do is we take that raw mushroom, which is now a pretty goopy mess, right? Because it's gone through a water and an alcohol-based extraction, which could be for a week or two each. All right, because we're trying to extract every bioavailability from it. And then what we do is we literally burn it. We calcify that raw mushroom so nothing's wasted. So now all of those salts, those minerals, those additional oils that come out in the calcification, the burning of the mushroom, get mixed back into the tincture. So now you've got this tincture that's what makes it 95 to 100% bioavailable, because it's actually rich and it's potent. And every time someone puts one of our drops on their tongue, they're like, whoa, like it, they feel a punch, because they're like, that is strong. And they're like, but within a few minutes, they're like, damn, I feel it. Like that doesn't usually happen with a lot of other mushroom products. So that's what spagyric extraction is. It's respecting the energy levels, the spirit energy. It's respecting the whole plant cycle, and it's making sure you're not wasting any of it just for turning a profit. I can promise you, it would be 100 times cheaper and 100 times less effective if I just did a water extraction, which is what a lot of the products on Amazon or Walmart, or you walk into a grocery store and you see them. If you're buying a bottle for $19, I can promise you there is not much in that product. It just is what it is. Some people are like, I've been using it for years and I feel great. Yeah, but just imagine how you'd feel if you actually had one that was good, like life changing. And this is what people tell me every single day. They're like, I had an old priest call me just the other day. He's like, this guy wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning, does church, does service, does a lot in the community. And he's like, I'm getting older. I'm dealing with inflammation. I'm dealing with just energy fatigue issues. I'm dealing with all this type of stuff. And he goes, I really don't believe about your products. I'm like, that's no worries. No worries, Father. No, I got you. Like, that's why 100% money back guarantee. I got you. I sent him out the products. And I said, if you do not feel anything in 48 hours, I'll refund your money in full. No questions asked. And he goes, what? You'll do that? I'm like, yeah. If it doesn't work, I don't want your money. He literally calls me back and he's like, I am not napping anymore. I actually can now do meetings with people at 7 and 8 o'clock in the evening. This is a guy who's 76 years of age, wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Like, I don't know if I could do that, seriously. But he's like, my body feels alive. And this is one of the big things. Have you ever noticed with some of this herbal medicine, like you have some of it and it's just like your body's like, oh hell yes, like this feels alive, this feels like it's living. That's what spagyric extraction is. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. So I have one question about the burning. When I see, things that have been burnt, I think like toxic. Like I'm not going to eat, ashes and the I mean, granted, the caramelized stuff on the edge of cooked food is amazing,
Well,
but
that creme brulee is like always
right?
the best part.
Right? But so tell me, like, how is the burned stuff still okay?
Well, it's filtered and cleaned and extracted and things like that. So it's not like they're just ash. It's not like we just take ash and coal and just dump it in the tincture and just make a witch's brew. That's not what I'm talking about. It actually goes through a scientific process where it's mixed back in to the tincture, but strengthened. So what is happening is you're literally extracting, because in that burnt piece, in that ash, there is still nutrients, there's salts, there's minerals, there's vitamins that your body can process and can extract. So it's kind of like we put it into the tincture, we mix it all in, we let it soak and steep in there for a little while, like making a good southern tea. You've got to let it steep, right? And then what we do is we extract that. So that's why it's always, our liquids are a lot darker. Sometimes they may be a little cloudy because like there's so much more life in it. And that's the process. But this is what they call the alchemy of it, because in the old world, you were able to heal people who were sick, and they called that alchemy, magic, right? That
Right.
dark magic. But this is what, if you look at all pharmaceutical companies, they leverage this similar type process of doing it. And that's why in a lot of those TV shows, you'll see them light stuff on fire to get a reaction. It's because in that process, something is actually happening and extracting more nutrients.
Okay, that makes sense. So one of my listeners has been listening and is very intrigued. Like I could definitely use more energy, especially if my body is making it. But she's also thinking, I know I have had problems with my cortisol. Obviously, thyroid is out of whack because, that's why she's listening to the Health with Hashimoto's podcast. What would you tell her about the safety of using those products, your products, if she's already dealing with cortisol issues and thyroid issues? Any, words of caution, or is this like all okay?
Well, we have a lot of people, you have to trust what your body's doing, right? And what we recommend to people is when they try our micro boosters, certainly you never take the performance one after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Otherwise, you'll be laying in bed at 10 o'clock going, I think I'm going to go organize the garage. And that may be something that sounds super, super peaceful to you. And you're like, hell yes. But to me, I'm like, no. So there is things, and there's usually a protocol. Some of the people who have, one of the ladies who actually has Hashimoto's, funny enough, she was actually telling me she takes our relief at around 2 or 3 o'clock. And relief is optimized to help with the body stress and anxiety and also your immune system. But it helps her start to settle down because she wasn't sleeping and was taking mood stabilizers as well, right? Which is many side effects of that. She's told me that she's actually no longer taking those by her own choice. We didn't recommend it. So she would actually start taking the relief about 2 or 3 o'clock. And what was fascinating about that is when people do that, it helps their body start to like go, hey, okay, over the next 6 to 8 hours, we're going to have to actually wind down, not wind up. This is what's happening when people are having that 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock coffee. Like, oh, I got to have my last coffee so I've got energy when I get home to the kids. You don't need that. So, and then she was taking it an hour before bed. And she said after a week, she was sleeping deeper and waking up more refreshed than ever before. She then noticed, she goes, and because she felt like her body was getting more rest, she wasn't having the inflammation and then the skin reaction she was usually having with her Hashimoto's. I'm like, that's fascinating. And I'm like, so she's like, she thinks it's all to do with how her body was like recovering and stabilizing, and she wasn't on this caffeine roller coaster, and she wasn't on all the other stuff, the synthetics she was taking, because of what people were telling her to take. And then they also leverage the one we have for our mood and stabilizer. But the advantage is because we have them in a 3 bottle set, she was able to optimize what she was taking each day based on how she felt, not treating it as a one size fits all, like, hey, you need this entire mushroom blend every single day. That's not necessarily the case. Some days you wake up and you're like, I'm actually feeling pretty good, but like I need a mood immunity boost. Or going into a holiday season, you really want to be boosting maybe your mood, maybe um maybe your immunity. So having your body being alive to fight off viruses and bacteria. Because once again, if you start getting something or you're battling something, your immune system's going to start being compromised. When your immune system is compromised, it impacts your cortisol, impacts inflammation. Like it just becomes this vicious cycle. And a lot of people are trying to treat the the symptom and not the real cause, if that makes sense. So that's the big difference. And just listening to her stories on the impacts it's made her health, it's game changing for her.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And you have a special gift for anybody listening, right? A free sample. Tell the listeners where they can find that and what to expect. Like, what's the best way to use it with their current morning routine?
Yeah, so we're giving away 2 samples actually. So they get to go to the website. There's a special link that you'll give them, and we give them 2 samples. So all they have to do is pay shipping and handling. So we give them our Amanita Relax gummies, which is pure Amanita muscaria, which is the Disney mushroom, that one with red and white. And if you look online, they'll go, "Oh my God, it's dangerous and poisonous." Here's a tip: every mushroom you ever find shouldn't be eaten raw. So like, we do this all in a lab, we do it right. And there's actually now over 3,000 citizen studies on the benefits of microdosing. Funny enough, microdosing mushrooms, not, there's no high, there's no trippy nature with all this type of stuff. So they get, and this is one of the best mushrooms for relaxing, but also inflammation. If you want to watch inflammation, swelling, bruising, just disappear in your body, people with sciatica, back pains, back problems, they get this from me, and I get told they want to kiss me multiple times a day, right? So this is our relax gummy they're going to get, and they're also going to get 2 gummies of our energy gummy, and this allows them to try what clean energy feels like. If you're new to this game, you take one of the relief, the relax gummies, right? And then one of the energy gummies in the morning. If you're a bit of a caffeine lover, like I would call myself, or I call myself a caffeine whore because I'm way at the other end of the spectrum. I have two in the morning, and then I find like I don't need that second, third, fourth cup of coffee or tea or what have you. But what it does allow me to do, get this, it allows me to go, you know what, I don't want a coffee, but what I will do is I will now have a herbal tea. I will have, because I just want a hot drink, I'll have a tea. So I'm now kind of making that choice of going, I actually don't want more caffeine. Like sometimes I'm like, I don't even like, I want coffee today, but I just want to have a cup of tea, right? Very English of me, funny enough. So both you'll be getting both of these samples. There's like over $30 worth of value, just shipping and handling. It's $5.99. It's the cheapest we can actually get shipping and handling for what it is. And we'll just mail these out for you to try. And I'm
Awesome.
pretty certain you'll get a benefit from the relief and this mushroom, as well as the energy.
Perfect. I'll have that link in the show notes for everybody listening, and then also on the blog. So thank you so much for all of this education. And I have learned a lot. I know that my listeners have. If there is one thing you want them to take away from our conversation today, what is the most important thing that they can take away?
The most important thing would be the world of mushrooms is the wild, wild west. So what you want to do is you always want a quality mushroom that's bioavailable. So when you're looking at products, at sometimes price matters, you get what you pay for. So always look for how is my body processing it, not how much is in it, because the different extraction methods can change the potency. So if you get the most potent and the most bioavailable, your body will heal itself and do amazing things.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Ben. For everybody listening, head down to the show notes and you will see the link so that you can get the gifts from Ben. I'm super excited to try them.